it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets, and welcome to day 2 of the August hashtag event, hashtag pawgustart. And I am going to be doing a scrapbook page for you today. I didn't want to do a card because I did that for day 1, so I went through my many books of scrapbooks that I have to do, and I have a ton that I need to work on because I've gone on a bunch of trips these past couple years and haven't finished any of them. So I went back and I found these pictures from a trip I took to Disneyland with one of the girls I went to grad school with, and I pulled out a lot of these colors for my materials. So you're going to see the blue and the red, the orange and the yellow, and then I actually cut out a bear from the Teddy Bear Parade cartridge that is actually wearing almost the exact same outfit that this bear Duffy, whoever he is wearing in the pictures. So first, I wanted to do that, so I'm going to show you how to put the Cricut cartridge, the Cricut cut together, and also how to do something to give it a little bit more dimension. We're also going to be using some thickers. I've actually done one of them already just to kind of do a test, and we're going to do a two-tone to tie it in with some of the pictures. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. I'm going to put this off to the side. I'm also going to try to do something with this pumpkin stamp that I have. It's from I think it's from a Michael stamp set that I got a while ago that I never used. It was a Halloween stamp set. So that's what I have the white paper for. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take all of the letters, and I have the letters that are going to spell Duffy, and we're kind of going to do some yellow and orange distress ink. So there's mustard seed and spiced marmalade. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sponge on the lightest color first, which is the mustard seed. I'm just going to do it to the tops of all of the letters. And I cut them apart because in the U that I used, I got distress ink all over the background. So I wanted to kind of give each letter its own background so that I didn't mess up the letter that was next to it. So the D I did not cut the background out for. So we're just going to sponge this color on, and then we're going to take the spiced marmalade, and we're probably going to have to go back and forth a couple of times like I did for the U because the colors were kind of blending, but it almost was wiping off the color above it. So we're going to add some of that, and then I'm going to go back in and add some of the yellow kind of to get it to blend together. Okay. Kind of almost looks like a sunset with these colors. It's almost hard to tell where the orange ends and the yellow begins. So I guess that's good. I guess that's a good mix. That's just kind of what I wanted. Just a little bit of a mix. Just to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. So these are thickers that you can spray. It says you can spray, you can use inks on them. So I figured using distress inks, because they're very good at blending, would be a cool technique for this layout. Okay. I just have the other F to do really quickly. And if I had some more time, I would probably play around with this and try to get them perfect. I can be a type A crafter, which sometimes doing these videos is the best thing for me because it forces me to stop playing with something and move on so that the videos aren't hours and hours long. So I'm going to put these over to the side and just kind of let them dry, since there's a lot of distress ink on that. I'm just going to wipe off my craft mat. Okay. So like I said, you could use sprays for that. You could use paints. You could pretty much put anything on top of those thickers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the My Favorite Things black hybrid ink with this pumpkin stamp, And I'm also going to be using my Distress inks to kind of color this in. I don't think I've ever used this stamp before. It stamps pretty well. So I'm going to use the Distress inks to try to color this in. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never tried to do this before, and then I was just going to plan on cutting it out. So I have one of the finger ink daubers. I'm just trying to get the green on the stem. And then we're going to go in with the marmalade. I'm just going to try to get it onto the pumpkin and not on the stem. It's a little bit difficult, but the good thing about this is we can come in and we can blend. I can use a little bit maybe of the yellow, kind of soften it up a little bit. Or I could come in with the other colors of orange that I have and give a little bit of highlight. Give little highlights to the sides. Okay. I don't want to do too much with that. So I'm going to fussy cut that out in a minute. I also have my ATG, and this has the acid-free tape in here, and what that does is that protects the pictures from yellowing. If you do anything with photos, you want to make sure everything you do is using acid-free adhesive. So now these pictures are 4 by 6, so each of the mats is cut 1/4 of an inch larger than that. So I'm going to glue my mats down, my photo to the mats. And this is part of there's going to be another page on the other side, and that page is my friend Kara and myself with Mickey. So I kind of wanted to, when I go to pick colors for my pages, I want to make sure that they coordinate. So that picture is, it's a black background, and it has some red and some blue in it. So I wanted to make sure that this page had some red and blue elements in it, which is why I picked those two for the background. Now the blue's not the same, it's a darker blue. It's Mickey in a sailor suit, and there's also some white in it. But at least it has a little bit of continuity with the colors. So this has a lot of the primary colors in it, so I'm trying to keep it keep it away from being too childish. Because if you do red, white, or red, yellow, and blue, sometimes the primary color, sometimes that can look a little bit too babyish. So we're going to add some elements to make sure that it doesn't look like a child's page. So I'm almost done matting these. And then the next thing I'm going to do is put the teddy bear together from the Teddy Bear Parades cartridge. And one of the layers didn't cut out all the way. So this was actually cut from a steel die, one of the thicker steel dies, and this is a frame. I can't remember who it's by. I will put it in the description below. Okay. So if you see here, this bottom piece over here didn't cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. So this piece goes on top of this, and so it's supposed to be a black layer so that the eyes and the mouth are black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors, once I can find them, right here. I'm actually going to go put put it up to the body of the bear. And just go around and just cut. So you can see the excess here. I'm just going to go around and cut that excess. So that it will fit the bear's body. Actually don't need this little piece here. It should just cut across. Kind of make it almost symmetrical with the other one. Okay, so that's how you can fix a Cricut cut. If a lot of the piece cut out, but it didn't, my paper moved at the very end. So by doing that, it helps me from having to recut the piece. So, one of the things that I've learned to do is to take some of the distress ink and highlight some of the images. So, like around the bear's ears and around the little snout part. I'm going to be using some tea-dye distress ink with the brown, like almost a craft color cardstock that I have. And I'm just going to take the pieces and run the mini ink blending tool over the edges. Your fingers are going to get really, really dirty when you use distress inks like this because the pieces are so tiny. You can use tweezers. I do happen to have a set of them. I just have no idea where they are. They could have been packed up in the move. So I don't know where they got off to. But it just kind of trying to see if you can. Just gives it a little bit of dimension. If you can see around the edges, you'll probably be able to see it on the nose a little bit better. I'm just running the ink blending tool over the edges. Okay. Let's see. Just gives it a little bit of dimension. It's one way you can dress up your Cricut cuts and make them look a little better. You can go around the edges of everything with that. I'm just going to add the nose. And glue the pieces together. Now in the cut when you just do it on the Cricut, the hat, the top of the pumpkin is to the side, and I want it to be more like the photo, and it's on top of the bear. So because of the way it cuts out, you can actually put it on the bear however you would like. I think I'm actually going to do that. I think I'm going to run around this over the edges just to give these pieces a little bit more dimension. And the color of ink that's on here is the Mowed Lawn, I believe. The color. You can go around the edges of the pumpkin as well. Just to give it a little extra something. This together fairly quickly. Put the hat together. I'm actually going to put it on top of the bear like that. Instead, it's actually on the side like this on the image, but I like it on top of the bear like that. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down. Oh, he needs to put his ears on first. As long as the glue is still blue, it's actually sticky. If it turns white, it becomes removable adhesive, so be careful of that because your piece may not stick. So we're going to put his nose on. all of the bear cuts come with this center circle, but I'm actually not going to use that because it doesn't matter, because this is actually going to cover it up. So we're going to put the pumpkin on. I'm using the Zig 2-way glue pen to glue these pieces together. I find that it's easiest when you have the small pieces. I know that a lot of people like the Xyron sticker maker. I don't have one, so I can't say whether it's whether I like it or not. I've never actually used one. Okay. And then glue his little collar on. And there you go. There's our cute little bear. And let's see what Duffy looks like. Here's Duffy. Here's our little bear. Oh, I think he looks fairly similar to him. So I just thought that was really funny. When I saw the pictures, I thought, oh, I know exactly what cut that I can make for that. So now we're going to start putting this together. So to cut the frame, I actually cut the middle part of this out because this red's going to go over it, so you're never going to see the inside. So you never know that I actually cut that out. So we're going to go... I would even use the acid-free tape on the page that you put together, not just on the photos, even though there's a ton of mats between this and the pictures. I would still use the acid-free stuff. I know that it's more expensive, but I would rather nothing happen to my pictures. Okay, so there's the base layer. So we're going to put the frame up here. I'm going to put the fake Duffy here. I'm actually going to put him... I may even pop him up if I have pop dots around here. Let's see. Just lining up my pictures where I want them. There's not much room. I actually cut the red mat a little bit smaller than I thought. Yeah, I cut a little bit too much off of there. I didn't think that I was going to do that. I didn't think I was going to cut that much off there. So now I'm just going to fussy cut. I'm taking my cutter bee scissors and fussy cut around the edges of this pumpkin. If you have a die that goes along with any images, this would be good to use, but I don't have a die for this image. It's just one of those, I believe it's just a recollection stamp. And they didn't have dies that went with them. Just going to go around. So what you can do, because as you'll notice when I show you the cut, I'm not cutting exactly on the black line, and you might see some white because the core of the paper is white because we're using white cardstock. So what you can do is you can take a black marker and go around the edges. You can see, like on the side here, I might have messed it up a little bit, so what I can do is take a marker. This is just a Studio G black marker. Kind of just go around the edges just to give it all just a little bit more polished of a look. I'm going to do that. Because there's probably places where I accidentally cut off the black outline, so that makes it just look a little bit more finished. Move Duffy, and just, I think I'm just going to put his name under there. And then, okay, so I'm going to take my HEG gun again. We're going to use that for the gluing of all of the photos down. I'm going to give it a little bit of a border. I try to match up the size of the borders and just leave the same amount of space that I have between the red and the blue border with the next layer, if that makes sense. And once I have the pictures on, then I'll be able to put the embellishments on there. I think that I do want to pop Duffy up just so that he has, so that there's a little bit more dimension and interest to the page. If I wanted to, I could run some blue distress ink over the edges of this piece too to give it a little bit more dimension. But just add a little pumpkin right there. You can use the Zig 2A glue pen for this. I think that should be acid free. This isn't touching any of the pictures. Okay. So now on the backs of all of these, it's a piece of paper and the back is sticky. You can also run a layer of adhesive over this if you think that this isn't going to stick well enough to your page. Sometimes, like these are kind of older thickers. I've had them for probably a year or two. So sometimes the glue isn't always very sturdy. So and these are just peeling right off. The backing has already peeled off of these ones. I'm not pressing them down all the way because I'm trying to get my letter placement before I decide what's going to be on, where it's going to be permanently. Trying to get this paper off is not fun with nails. One thing I do have to say, the two-tone didn't really work. It's really coming off on my hands. You could hit this with a heat tool and probably get it to set a little bit before you touch them. I would probably recommend that because this is unfortunately coming off, a lot of it's coming off on my hands. So I may try to go back over it with something. Let me just run and get Pop Dots real quick. And we'll put this Duffy on some Pop Dots. And this page will be done. So I know that probably wasn't the most fascinating scrapbook page, but I wanted to show you guys a couple different techniques and see what you can do if your Cricut image doesn't cut out exactly how you wanted it to, because things like that always happen. You know, I don't think I've ever had a project that everything has cut out perfectly. The Explorer's great, but sometimes the mats aren't sticky enough and things just don't work out the way you're planning on them. And it's nice to know that there is a way to save your cuts instead of trying to cut everything all over again, especially since it was the black layer, which is the most cuts that I had, because all of the pieces that are in black will cut out on the same sheet. So I didn't have to worry about doing that. That was the very last cut that was done on the black sheet, so I would have had to do all of the black layers over again. So it's nice that I was able to save it. So I'm going to take the backing of this off. Hopefully there was a tip or trick or something in here that you guys learned from this video. I hope that you're enjoying this art series. I haven't actually looked at anybody's videos yet. It's a long day at work, and then I wanted to make this video. So I am planning over the next day or two to watch as many videos as I can with the hashtag. Can't wait to see what everyone made. I really had a fun time doing that last time, looking at everything. So there you guys go. That is the scrapbook page. It's probably the quickest I've ever done a scrapbook page in under a half an hour. But I pulled all of the colors from the pictures and coordinated it with the other page. That's what you want to do because you don't want it to clash with the page before it. You kind of want them to coordinate, go together, especially if the pictures aren't the same. If I had another set of Duffy pictures, I could have used the exact same colors, maybe in a different order, and for some more continuity. But because it was a different character, these exact colors won't work. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching day 2. I hope that you're enjoying this. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And subscribe to my channel if you like what I do. Thank you guys, and I will see you again soon for another hashtag video. Bye!